On behalf of Superintendent Jack Cross, Principal Carrie Hagnes, and Morgan Political Club Advisor Eric Bergman, welcome to tonight's 2015 Clinton First Selectmen's Debate here at the Gagnon Auditorium. I'm Maina Carey, member of the Morgan Political Club. Tonight's debate will involve Democratic incumbent Willie Fritz, Republican challenger Bruce Farmer, and Clinton First challenger Vin Cimino. As for rules and format, this debate will begin with a 3-minute opening statement from each of our participants. Straws were drawn earlier to determine order. From here, students will ask candidates a variety of town-related questions. These questions will be asked by student members, affording the candidates 3 minutes to respond and allowing 1 minute rebuttal time if need be. Again, order was determined by straws. We will begin the evening with a 3-minute closing statement. Candidates have volunteered to take questions from audience members after the debate in the front lobby. Let it be known that we take these debates quite seriously and wish to provide a public service to the town of Clinton. Every effort is made to create a forum that is objective and unbiased. And now, Morgan Political Club member Andrew Tessman, who will act as moderator tonight.
Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Tessman, and I will be moderator as Maina said. So, like we said, the straws have already been drawn, and we will begin introductions, first with Mr. Cimino, then with Mr. Fritz, and then to Mr. Farmer. After the introductions, we will begin questioning. Okay, Mr. Cimino, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. I'm Vin Cimino. I'm the Clinton First candidate for First Selectman. And I want to first of all thank all of you for coming out tonight, even before I thank the political club. Because the political club, it's great that they're hosting this event, but this event wouldn't be anything if no one attended. So thank you for caring enough to attend. And now thank you to the political club for hosting this event again, because it really is practically the only opportunity that you're going to have outside of next Thursday evening to hear the candidates' positions on the important issues that we're facing in Clinton. I'm a graduate of Quinnipiac University. I'm a realtor. I work for the Lawrence and Auto Group. I've chaired many committees and, I've served as chairman and served on many committees in town, but most importantly, I'm proudest of the fact that I'm the vice president of the CTA. And thank you to Willie and to Bruce for participating also.
Good evening. Once again, thanks for everybody showing up tonight. I know it's tough during the week to come out to things like this. We appreciate your attendance. Thanks to Mr. Bergman, the political club, for sponsoring this, and the young men and women that work hard to come up with questions and run what I've always thought, and this is my sixth time doing this, a very informative debate. And I am Willie Fritz, and welcome to Applebee's. Because in 2 years, that's where you're going to be sitting. This will probably be Applebee's in 2 years. You'll be coming here after you go to Unilever to watch your kids play hockey. Or you may be coming from Indian River on a new turf field after a soccer game. So, I have a record, and it's a good one. We've got a lot of good stuff going on in town. I want to continue to be First Selectman because I have the energy, the desire. I don't stop. Some of you kids and you guys out here know me. I coach, I do everything. I'm on the go all the time. The grass never grows under my feet. And I'm going to keep pushing the town of Clinton to move forward and keep moving forward. Positively Clinton is our slogan, and we're going to keep going in the positive direction. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you to Mr. Farmer and Mr. Cimino, and good luck.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the political club, their teacher advisor, Eric Bergman, who's really worked hard the last couple of weeks, and all of you folks for coming out tonight. I think it's a good crowd, and I thank you all very much. I come from the corporate business world, 45 years, managing a number of really smart people, a number of which were much smarter than I was, $38 million of business. I was a marketing executive in the insurance world, dealing with the management of catastrophe, loss of life scenarios. It was a tough job. I helped a lot of insurance companies manage these terrible events that they had to be exposed to. But I feel that I was able to help them out in a number of scenarios. I've been in community service my whole adult life. I've done a lot of work both in New York and Connecticut on boards and commissions for churches, volunteer groups. I'm a certified planner with respect to helping people meet their objectives. And I focus groups of employees and volunteer nonprofit groups to meet their long and short-term goals. This is the first time I've been running for political office of this nature. In town here, I serve on the Board of Finance as an alternate, the Zoning Board of Appeals as an alternate, and a number of years ago I was on the Inland Wetlands Commission, and I'm very pleased to be here. I did my campaign start in the month of July, and since that time I've been asking a number of people what they are concerned about here in town. And they said that we want to see ethical leadership be provided here, transparency, respect for them when they go to town hall. They want to see us promote sports, the arts, recreation, welcome economic development here in town, but at the same time protect Clinton's quality of life, safety, and environment. Thank you.
And for the first question.
Hello, my name is Justin Navarro from the Political Club. Our first question will address the reasons why we love this community. Please tell 3 things you like about living in Clinton and 3 things that bother you.
And the first one goes to Mr. Fritz.
Well, love the town. I've been first selectman for 10 years. I didn't jump into this because I didn't love the town. I did this because I want to keep this town stable, move it into the future, provide a great place for my kids. I have a 6th grader, Brady. I have a freshman, AJ, and he'll get mad at me, but Will's a senior here at Morgan. I want to make a great place for my kids to grow up and my wife Sandra to live and work, and for all the kids and all the families in town to thrive. In 10 years, basically all of our facilities have been upgraded. Our roads are 50% better than they were 10 years ago. We keep moving forward, we keep improving things in town. What's the downside? There isn't a lot of downside to Clinton. Yeah, we got the wastewater thing looming. That's been looming for 30 years and it's gonna loom for another 15 or 20 years. But there's no downside to the town of Clinton. The town of Clinton is great financially. It's a great place to live. With the new high school that's gonna open up next September, our residents are going to benefit from this because we're going to have an influx of people into town. We're going to have development of this site. We're going to have development of Unilever site. Clinton is growing and improving daily. I love this town. I want to keep serving this town. To me, there's no downside in the town of Clinton, only positives. Positively Clinton.
Mr. Cimino, you're next to answer the question.
Well, the 3 things I would say that I like the most about Clinton would be, number 1, our beautiful waterfront location. Number 2 would be our location in general and just how convenient we are to everything else in the state. But the most important thing, of course, is the people of Clinton. And we really do have a wonderful community. If you just look at this fireworks festival and how people came out, and that was generated completely by the residents of Clinton. And it showed the community spirit. We have issues in Clinton. Everyone knows it. Everyone, not only in Clinton, but everyone in the state knows that Clinton has issues. And a $127 million issue is looming. That's a wastewater treatment dilemma that has been allowed to continue for decades. And the only solution that is on the table by the current administration just won't solve our issues. So that's one. Two, we've got a lot of corruption in this town. Unfortunately, it's really reared its ugly head recently. We have town employees and officials collaborating to deny certain tax appeals of residents. We have members of commissions who have conflicts of interest and who are refusing to recuse themselves just to get things pushed through. And thirdly, we have no transparency. You heard about, well, there's going to be a skating rink. There's not going to be a skating rink. Let me be the first one to tell you. 2 years ago, we were told there's going to be a skating rink on the dump. Are you skating on it now? What makes you think there's going to be a skating rink anywhere else? We have no financial affidavit. We have no contracts. We have nothing. Fool me once, right? Let's not let it happen again. Don't fall for it. Thanks.
And Mr. Farmer.
I've lived in Clinton with my family since 1983. I came here initially because I was looking for a small town on the shoreline, a place where we could go boating, enjoy all the recreational activities that we're here to offer. It's a wonderful town. I've seen so many changes since we first arrived here. I can't say enough about the people. The kids are terrific. The enthusiasm that this town has is just amazing. I think there's a lot of things we can do in the area of economic development for the future. And I'm very positive about what's going on here. Mr. Fritz has said on a number of occasions that this town is, really one of the jewels of the shoreline and a true destination. And I agree with that. But I really want to see us promote our wonderful town here in every respect with regard to our history, the development that can be done here, our beautiful shoreline. We have over 20 different recreational activities outside that are available to us now. The shopping, the restaurants, all of the shoreline here. The new Morgan School coming online. There's so many things that we could and should be promoting here. That's it.
Okay, now we have 1 minute rebuttals. These are optional by the candidates. Mr. Fritz, Mr. Cimino, any rebuttals from you? And Mr. Farmer, any rebuttals for the candidates? Okay, next question then.
Hello everyone, I'm Mike Murray, also part of the political club, and there's been lots of talk lately about the need for economic development in Clinton. What are your priorities in this area? What are short and long-term goals?
And Mr. Cimino, you first answer the question.
Thank you. I believe that in Clinton, what we're going to need is some enterprise zones. We're going to need some incentives to be able to attract businesses into this town, because right now, we're just not seeing it. We're hearing a lot of innuendo and a lot of rumor that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. There's the contract just for the sale of this property alone has an out clause for the purchaser in the event that contamination is uncovered. And he just walks away. So why would we think that that can't happen? As I already said, at the Unilever property, we're being told, oh, there's going to be the same guys who told us they were going to build a skating rink on the dump are now telling us they're going to build one over there. No contracts, no plans, there's no financial affidavits. We don't even really know who these guys are. If they're the two guys that they say they are, they have no experience with anything to do with recreational facilities. They have shown no ability to get anything done. So I don't believe it's going to happen. and I believe that there are big question marks. Anyone who's already planning a restaurant here or anything else is putting the cart way before the horse, because environmental studies need to be done, have not been done, and there is a big out for the developer. And I don't believe, so in terms of economic development, we need real economic development, not a propane huge facility that would present nothing but health risks to our town. A recycling dump on 145 that's going to disrupt everyone's lives and just be a general nuisance and potentially pollute our water supply. This isn't economic development. We need real economic development, a real plan. And I plan to implement a plan that will focus on giving some financial incentives, because that's what works. Why is GE leaving Connecticut like every other business in Connecticut? The headquarters are moving because they can and because they're getting financial incentives. There are no financial incentives to come to Clinton right now. In fact, we have the highest tax rate on the shoreline. We need to lower it.
Okay, Mr. Farmer, you're next.
First of all, with regard to economic development, I think we really need to thank and support our business owners. Since my campaigning started in July, as I mentioned before, I've gone up and down the Post Road several times. I've gone into the industrial parks, and other than at tax time, our business owners don't see anybody from Town Hall. They may see somebody from the Chamber of Commerce occasionally, but that's it. They don't thank them for starting their business here, for keeping their business here, for growing their business, or to talk to them about maybe they want to start other businesses in town that are also potentially successful. So we have to start right there. Next thing is, let's welcome new business here, but at the same time be very careful with the business we entertain here, because we do not want to disturb our quality of life. It's the reason we came here in the first place, or our safety, or our environment. I'm very charged up and very excited about our new Economic Development Commission, and the new head of that, John Allen, is doing a super job. A number of us attended a great seminar for 2 hours a week ago. It was very successful, well attended. A lot of great ideas came out of that. It's evident from that we absolutely must have a town planner. We need a business development vetting process like they have in Old Saybrook. It's worked out with the town planner and also the Economic Development Commission themselves. The vetting process looks at the financials, the background, the reputation, the capabilities, many checks and balances of the prospective new business before they even go to the first selectman with an idea or a concept from that new developer. We also, it's very apparent that we need to have a plan here in town and a vision, both short-term and long-term, and keep adjusting it as we go. I think we have a lot of great opportunities here for development. We need to broaden and balance our tax base. The residential to business ratio is one such that business tax comes in only at 1/4, while the residential taxes are 3/4 of what we take in the front door. This is not going to be a quick fix to change that ratio of business to residential development, but we've got to start. But I do think we have some wonderful opportunities coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, Mr. Fritz.
So a couple of things have been bounced around here with this site, which has been through a phase 1 and a phase 2 with the new developers. And as of now, nothing has shown up that is a walk away. Matter of fact, that's why I said Applebee's, because he does have commitments from Applebee's. He's got a commitment from Hampton Inn. He's got a commitment from Starbucks. Okay, so they wouldn't make commitments without having confidence that this site is good. Unilever is not the developer that was going to build on the landfill. Although he's involved in the project, he is not the buyer, he is not the developer, he is a tenant. That is going forward, okay? David Mack Associates is buying the property. They're having a tough time dealing with Unilever. I was on the phone with Congressman Courtney's office today to see if maybe somebody in Washington can give Unilever a little bit of a nudge to get them moving. They're a couple $100,000 a part on the sale of the property. As for the recycling dump, well, there is no application, and yeah, my son, would you turn the mic off on me? So, there is no application in front of zoning right now for anything on that property. They went to ZBA for the ability, no, that's okay, man, I can talk. The ability to rebuild the building and get an extension of the 2 years after a significant event, which is the FEMA regulations, okay? Because after the building collapsed, they're in a floodplain. After 2 years, you have to rebuild within 2 years or else you're subject to FEMA. They went for a variance because of a hardship that they didn't own the property, they had to clean the property up. That's what they went for. There is no application. They're considering a recycling facility that is volume reduction, which is construction debris. It's not garbage, it's not hazardous waste. It's like if they tore this school down, the brick would go there, the concrete would go there in a building, put on a railroad car and shipped out. May happen, may not. That's up to the zoning board when it gets to that point. But it is an industrial site. And for everybody who lived around it for all those years, with 150 tractor trailers going out there every day, nobody seemed to notice that. Nobody even noticed when the building collapsed in the middle of the night. They never heard it. Amazing. So, we are focusing on the interchange, which is the highway right here. We are focusing on the railroad. The railroad being the center of town, Unilever, with the up and over on the tracks. Railroad siding at Bostage. I don't know who'll ever go in there. It's a tough site, it's contaminated, and there's a railroad siding at the old Unilever warehouse. We are focusing. And we do offer incentives. Incentives are governed by state statute. We can't just say we're going to give you $300,000 off if you come here. State statute says based on what you spend, we can reduce your assessment by a percentage and by a certain amount of years. MJM, Mike Milano, is coming in for an assessment. Tower Labs down in Heritage Park with their renovations got an assessment reduction. We do it and we're very focused on it. Thank you.
Mr. Cimino, your rebuttal.
Yeah, first of all, although there isn't a formal application yet for the recycling dump, it is in their application to ZBA, and it's common knowledge, and they're not going to deny it, that that's what they're looking at. Yes, the building fell down. They had 2 years to rebuild, and they didn't do it. But that, and they shouldn't be allowed to rebuild it now under those regulations that have since expired. But it's not an appropriate use of the property. The property is not zoned for recycling. It's zoned for warehousing. Warehousing is not recycling. That's two different things. And whatever they tell you they're going to bring in, forget it. There's all across the state, we have cases where they tell you they're going to do this, and the next thing you know, there's contaminated material being brought in. Their engineer already let it be known that they're going to bring in recycled petroleum product.
Mr. Farmer, do you have a rebuttal? Mr. Fritz, do you have one?
You said it all.
Next question.
Believe what you hear.
I'm Tejas Patel, and I'm asking the third question. Please tell us your plans and intentions regarding the wastewater issue.
Mr. Farmer, you're up first.
Well, you got 3 candidates, you're probably going to get 3 answers. If you ask 10 people in the audience, you'll probably get 10 answers from the audience. Like Willie said earlier, this issue has been going on for over 30 years. And I got to tell you, the WPCC has been working very hard for a long, long time on this. It is true we are under a DEEP mandate that says we must address this issue. We have identified 6 different sites, all with different issues. There's still much to be done, so it's not a great idea to speculate a whole lot on this. But it will be handled, my understanding, it will be handled with a site-specific plan. It could be septic on one house or a neighborhood system, or it's all depending on need in a particular area. And let me be clear, I believe most people in town would agree with this. We do not want or need a town-wide facility. If we were to put one in, it would be way too costly. There would be additional environmental issues. It would absolutely become a regional facility. Other towns like Madison would like to hook up to it, and we don't need it. Cost is still going to be a factor with this. But every year that goes by, they develop more sophisticated systems for these types of needs. And it's certainly going to be much less than the figures that are being thrown out there in the public of like 120, 127, 34 million. It's not going to be like that. But they're still trying to work out the costs. And as Willie said, it's going to take quite a while.
Great, Mr. Fritz.
Okay, we've been working on this for a long time. And one of the first things 10 years ago I did was get the current commissioner at the time was Gina McCarthy, DEP, to come down, and our former state rep, Brian O'Connor, was instrumental in putting through legislation that got away from the big pipe. It allowed us to do a more of a hybrid solution for the town, which could be a community system in areas, it could be on-site solutions for specific properties where you have the ability to repair your system on-site. Now, we've kind of followed behind SAREP because they got some good stories up there, they got some success stories, and then they have some real nightmares. They got certain areas that they're just not going to do because they stayed with the on-site. You're going to fix the septics, we're going to put engineered technology in. It's not going to work in all areas. So we're following their lead, and we're learning from their successes and failures, which is smart, right? Why would we just go forward with something that nobody knows anything about? Because this is all new stuff. Any plan going forward is going to have multiple solutions depending on the area. I'm meeting with DEP and the Department of Health and some members of our WPCC on November 6th because we applied for a grant for a water line extension up Killingworth Turnpike to Rocky Ledge. The Rocky Ledge area is an area that has problems. Well, one of the biggest problems with Rocky Ledge is because they have wells and because of the separation distance between septic systems and wells. You put public water in there, that eliminates a lot of the problems. Now you have more room for an on-site solution, potentially, and there may be some systems that can be modified, or most probably can be modified because you don't have the separation distance. Far less costly than putting a community system. We've gotten away from the big pipe. We've taken the Hammonasset River off the table. They throw around numbers 127 million because we use an engineering company that's a big pipe underground company. And whatever we do is a phased-in approach. You're going to do one area. When you finish that, you're going to do another area. You're not going to take the big bite out of the apple all at once. It's a phased-in approach. Things are going to start happening. If there's an opportunity to get a steep grant for $500,000, like I just got for the Peters complex for the facilities there, I will try to get one for a water line extension. We have a good chance of getting the one from the public health department because they want to meet with us about it. That could offset a lot of the cost, which is about a $2 million cost to run a water line up into Rocky Ledge up Killingworth Turnpike. And we built a new school, and we extended the water line to the north side of that property. We ran it out to Killingworth Turnpike. We extended a 12-inch line up along Killingworth Turnpike for potential expansion towards Rocky Ledge to pick up those houses, take away their problems with their wells and their septic. So we have a plan, we're going forward. The Water Pollution Control Commission's been doing a great job. And don't let anybody scare you.
Mr. Cimino.
If you're not scared, you're not getting the point. We're talking about $127 million for a plan that will not allow any future business expansion. So how are we going to expand our economy if we can't expand our business? There was a plan that was being put forward by our former first selectman, Jim McCusker. He had actually already begun the process of taking by eminent domain the Shangay and Shrimp properties, which would accommodate what is being referred to as a big pipe. What it really is a sophisticated sewer system, and that facility would be very close to the Long Hill Road area, which is one of the problem areas, but it would also serve the entire shoreline and Route 1. And with it being able to serve Route 1, first of all, that entire plan only cost $22 million was the last estimate that was done by a much more competent WPCC committee than we now have. And it included an individual who served as a town engineer and has been through this before. That committee was removed because they were telling the truth. What we need is a sophisticated sewer system that would be the envy of the shoreline. All these shoreline communities have issues with septics, yes, but we have the unique opportunity of being able to put in a centralized system that will serve all of the needs area, will allow business expansion. We can charge these businesses sewer usage fees that will further reduce the expense. We will receive money from the state and federal government, and that's what we need to pursue. Now, you're going to be told, oh, the DEEP went and bought. Well, we know how corrupt this state is. We know how many officials have ended up in jail, okay? Yes, they took the Shangay property, the state took it, right? That does not preclude us from taking it by eminent domain from the state for public safety and installing the system that we need to have in Clinton that will be the envy of the shoreline. Thank you.
Rebuttal from Mr. Farmer. Rebuttal from Mr. Fritz.
I think it's great. 20 million to 127. The Shangay property was on a pristine lake, just like the Hammonasset River. Do we want to have systems that are discharging into the ground next to a pristine lake, or do we want to have systems that are discharging directly into a river? Dilution's a solution. The river is actually a better alternative because the water's pre-treated, the effluent's pre-treated, almost at drinking water standards. But we don't want water running into our harbor. We don't want water running into a pristine pond or a lake. We want to try to take care of it. We want to have control of what we do. There was never a suggestion that this would ever be a regional facility. The regional facility was going to be in Old Saybrook back in the 80s, and Old Saybrook said the same thing. No way, no way. We're not having everybody else's crap coming to Old Saybrook and getting dumped into the Connecticut River. So we are where we are, and they're right. The Water Pollution Control Committee back then did a good job. They weren't removed. And our Water Pollution Control Committee right now is doing a great job too. They've taken the bull by the horns and they're running with it. So I think we're in good shape with that.
Thank you, Mr. Fritz. Anything from Mr. Cimino?
I want to be clear that I did not say a regional facility. I said a central facility that will serve our entire town. No one's going to be able to come into our town and do anything that we don't want them to do. And at a cost, a fraction of the cost, less than a quarter of the cost of what is currently being proposed, we can allow business expansion, serve all of our problem areas, and take control of the future. How are we going to expand business if we are not going to address the septic needs for those businesses? Thank you.
Next question.
Hi, I'm Liam Gordon with the Morgan Political Club, and while we realize that the Board of Education, the Board of Finance, and the Planning and Zoning Board are elected positions, what role should the First Selectman play in determining education, spending, and land use policy?
We will start with Mr. Fritz.
Interesting. budgets go through the selectmen before it gets to the Board of Finance. The education budget is presented as a joint venture or a joint meeting with the Finance Board and the Board of Selectmen. Then the Board of Selectmen has a chance to whack it if they want or move it forward. What we are fortunate to have in this town, and I've been fortunate for the last 10 years, we have a good relationship with the Board of Ed, with the superintendent of schools. We talk. A lot of towns you hear, they don't talk. They don't talk to each other. They don't communicate. We kind of know what's coming down the pike from the Board of Ed as things are being proposed. When it gets to what happens in the buildings, that's the Board of Ed's deal. That's the superintendent's deal. That's the administrator's deal. We don't control that. And nor should we. We are not qualified to determine what happens in the buildings. We don't know anything about curriculum. We don't know anything about how much a smart board costs or how many they may need. And they don't even use them anymore, for God's sakes. We bought all of those, and now that's technology is gone. We really have a lot of talk about budget and numbers. We can cut, and then potentially our kids suffer. My theory is always we need to invest in our community. We need to invest in our kids. We need to show the people that we invest in your children. That's why people move to a town. When you look to where you want to go, how are our schools if you're a young family? How are your schools? We're very cognizant of that fact. So when it gets to my level, when it gets to the Board of Selectmen level, we're cognizant. We don't always agree with what the Board of Ed presents, and we've cut it in the past. Somehow they find a way to figure it out. They usually do. Our goal is not to let our children suffer, not to let, well, not to discourage people from moving into town. You know, money doesn't solve problems. One of my favorite songs is, money can buy me a boat and it can buy me a truck to pull it. Doesn't necessarily make your kids better educated, but it does get people to move to your community when they know you invest in your children's education and you know that you're going to invest in their facilities. And that's what our goal is in this town.
Mr. Cimino?
The question, as I understand it, is what role should the first selectman have with the Board of Education, the Board of Finance, and the land use boards? And the Board of Selectmen should have a hand in everything in terms of monitoring, and I believe, number one, protect the health and safety of all the residents. If something's coming down the pipe that could potentially endanger the health and safety of the residents, you can bet I'll be front and center in saying this won't happen in Clinton. We did that with the propane facility. It should be done with the recycling dump and anything else that presents a danger to the town of Clinton and its residents. With regard to the Board of Finance, of course you have to be there and you have to attend the meetings, listen to what's being proposed, know where you stand. You've got the highest taxes, the highest tax rate on the shoreline. You need to be there influencing decision to the degree that you are reminding them that we need to lower taxes in Clinton so that people can continue to afford to live here. And with regard to the Board of Education, our system can do much better. In comparison to every other educational system on the shoreline, we are giving them at least as much money per student as any other town. The results aren't there in the test scores, and there's got to be a reason, and it's not the kids. So we need to find a solution. We can't just say, well, do your best. It's not good enough. The kids deserve better. We should have an audit committee that audits everything that the Board of Education does, including its finances. For many years now, the Board of Finance has requested money that it did not need. It's had surpluses every year. In recent years, the bulk of that surplus is in the employee benefits. Well, that has been over $600,000 in the last few years per year. That's money that should never end up in their hands. It's not necessary, and at the end of the year, when they're left with this money, rather than send out a memo and say, spend it as quick as you can so we don't get less money next year, it needs to be returned to the taxpayers of Clinton. As a vice president of CTA, I've been very involved, and I've monitored the Board of Education and all of these departments because we need to reduce taxes. We need to eliminate unnecessary, irresponsible spending. And if the first selectman isn't going to do it, and he's not going to lead the board of selectmen to monitor these departments and these budgets, who's going to do it? That's what you're electing me for.
Mr. Farmer.
If I'm elected first selectman, I'd take a little bit different tack, whether it's the Board of Education, Board of Finance, land use folks, whatever board, commission, or committee. My approach would be to support them, to encourage them, to challenge them, to think outside the box, for them to reach new ideas, new ways of doing business. They need to focus on their objectives, both short-term and long-term. That also includes their annual budgets. They need to look long and hard at their budgets. At the same time, I have a 9-pronged approach to enriching our educational program for our students, especially in the high school, which really wouldn't cost us a whole lot of money, but I think that the students would benefit from that. We have wonderful teachers in this community. We have wonderful special needs programs. We're having a new high school come online fall of next year with great technology. All of that should be dovetailed with a full-blown, comprehensive, gifted and talented program. In the 1960s, I graduated from a gifted and talented program on Long Island. We need to raise the test scores, find a way to do it. We've heard all kinds of excuses for the last 10 years. That has nothing to do with Willie. I'm just saying from the Board of Ed, you know, socioeconomic conditions being what they are here in Clinton, we were having a tough time raising the test scores in the high school. To that I say baloney. We have to find a way to do it. We owe it to the kids. We need to have more volunteer mentors, more volunteer tutors. We need to have summer internships provided by local businesses of all types, whether it's you know, white collar, technology, light manufacturing. We need a town-wide fundraiser to help the parent-teacher organization to raise money each year for students needing supplies, tools, and technology devices that they or their families can't afford. Every year the teachers reach into their pockets way too much. They don't complain, they do it with compassion, but I think a town-wide fundraiser to, you know, help the Parent-Teacher Association would go a long way. I want our students, when they leave high school in this community, to be as prepared as possible for the future, whether it's going on to college, in the military, technology schools, or whatever. And all of you can help in that effort as well. Thank you.
Mr. Fritz, any rebuttal?
Real quick, I want to thank Bruce for recognizing the value of our teachers and what a great job they do in this town. I was a little upset by Mr. Cimino's comment about our teachers coming up to another standard, but we have great teachers in this town. We have great staff at our schools. If anybody, and I'm in there all the time, I don't know about my opponents, but I see what happens in the schools. I see the progress. I see with my own kids, from when I went to school, what I did in kindergarten to what my kids did in kindergarten, how they progressed through 8th grade. And I think what our teachers and what our schools do produce is great. I go back to our demographics are different than Madison, Saybrook, some of these other towns that we like to be compared to, because we're not those towns. We have parents in this town, 2 people working, and they're not home. Kids get home. We don't have as much parent involvement in these towns, or push. We don't have parents that can hire a tutor for their kids because they can't afford it. So I think our schools do a great job. I mean, I just wrote 2 letters for a young lady who wants to get into the Naval Academy today, and she's a fantastic student. I'm very proud of her.
Mr. Cimino, any rebuttal?
Boy, I'm glad this thing's being videotaped, because you'll go back and you'll see that I did not criticize the teachers of Clinton. I said the system itself needs to do much better. Now, are we giving them the resources? Yes. Is it the kids? No. It's the system. We need to make the necessary changes to give them a better chance. Are there kids going to Naval Academy? There are. But is there an overall feeling that the schools in Clinton are not up to par with the other schools on the shoreline? And any realtor will tell you that when parents come in, they're looking for a home in the area. One of the reasons why they might not consider Clinton is the school system, and we need to improve it.
Mr. Farmer, rebuttal?
I couldn't disagree more. I have talked to our teachers, our administration, our superintendent, the Board of Education. We have a wonderful school system here. We just have to kick some people in the tail to do more and better for them.
The next question?
Hello everyone, I'm Matteo Zappano of the Political Club. What changes would you recommend be made to our current charter to meet the needs of the town?
First up is Mr. Cimino.
The first change that I would recommend would be term limit. I think that when someone's in office too long, they get too comfortable. They tend to not take the job the same way that they did when they first got into it. You can get too comfortable. You can become your own biggest cheerleader. You can think that everything is hunky-dory. You can say, rah, 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 look how great we're doing, and ignore very, very important issues. Another charter change that I would like to see is, I think that when a person volunteers for a board of or a commission, they should not have to be a member of a major party. In other words, if a person wishes to come on, they should, if let's say a person resigns from a board or commission, it shouldn't have to be replaced by someone from a major party. We have a situation where Jan Aiken from our Clinton First Party sent in a letter applying for a position on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and she sent it to a Democratic member of the Planning and Zoning Commission who said, oh, your experience and your qualifications are exactly what we're looking for. And then he sent back another message and said, well, wait a minute, you didn't tell me you were with Clinton First, forget it. So we just lost a very qualified person. I also think that we need to afford some sort of protection for town employees in our town charter, where if a whistleblower uncovers an expense that is totally inappropriate and looks like corruption, they can't be fired. So there needs to be a procedure whereby those people are protected. And lastly, I think that we need a real ethics ordinance. I think that when someone is found to have committed what the Ethics Commission considers to be a violation and what the residents consider to be a violation, they should be forced off of that board or commission. They can't continue to serve if they have conflicts of interest, and if they are not serving the public, they're serving some personal interest. Thank you.
Mr. Farmer, you're next.
Okay. Keep forgetting the microphone. Our charter is our town constitution. It was built the way it was built for a reason. There are a lot of protections in there, and the system works, believe it or not. You know, original charters here went a long way back. However, having said that, I think there are some parts of the charter we should, as a body here in this town, consider. One is absolutely hiring a town planner. The charter says we may hire one. I think it should say shall. It's a missing link for future development and so many other things. It's a necessity at this point. And I know it'll cost us money. I think we have to require bidding for professional service contracts. I think that we should try something here in Clinton that's been successfully done in the town of Trumbull. And it won't be easy, but it can be formulated, and that is to make a provision for a funding threshold for pensions here in town which are underfunded. And there's a lot of reasons why that happened. I think we also need to make provision for a funding threshold for future capital projects planned here in town. I think that would help us as well. And the other item that was mentioned before by Vin was, I think it's time now to institute term limits. Thank you.
And Mr. Fritz.
Okay, I'll just jump on the charter. Whistleblower, there's employee handbooks at the Board of Ed in the town, which with whistleblower policies in place. Somebody does not get fired for one incident. It's almost impossible. You would end up at the labor board and you would lose your shirt as a municipality or a board of education for one incident unless they're actually stealing something. And we've had that happen and they were gone. So that is a state statute thing. It's in their personnel handbooks that they have to sign when they get hired, and they're well aware of it, as are our labor attorneys who have to deal with all this stuff. Regarding removing people from boards and commissions, if they're elected, you can. State statute doesn't allow it. There is no recall provision in state statute for an elected person. Regardless of what the ethics board comes up with, you can put it in your charter. It doesn't matter. It's governed by state statute. The town planner, I like having a planning consultant. We spend $48,000 a year on a planning consultant who does a great job. We don't need a full-time town planner. Years ago, I was a big proponent of full-time town planner, and everybody thought I was crazy. What we have going on now, and with our plan of conservation development that the zoning board has worked on very hard for the last, it seems like 7 years, but it's only been 2. We have a good plan. As a result of this planning consultant working with the zoning board, we need to continue, we need to implement the plan when it's finally adopted, and we need to continue the services of the planning consultant. The planning consultant, $48,000 a year versus $100,000 a year plus benefits for a planner. Yep. We don't need that. We're not going to recoup that money. No matter how much development they bring in, they're not going to bring in that much anyway. We're not going to recoup that money. And as far as, you know, the bidding processes and this and that, we have limits in the charter. X amount of dollars has to go out to bid. I believe it's up to $10,000 now, which is not a lot of money. You can't get much done for 10 grand anymore. And you do not have to bid for professional services, but we typically do RFP for professional services. We form a committee, they come in, they get interviewed, and they get hired based on their qualifications. It's not always based on cost. You know, sometimes you get what you pay for, and sometimes when you hire a low guy, it's not always the best bang for your buck. So there's an RFP process that we use regularly for that kind of stuff. I think our charter's fine. As far as term limits, hey, you want to get rid of me next week, all right? That's fine. That's okay. My wife won't be happy because I dominate the TV when I'm home, but you want to get rid of me, get rid of me. There's an election every 2 years. I wish it was 4 because it seems like every 2 years we're doing this stuff again. A lot of towns have 4. But if you have somebody that runs the town well, which I think I do and have, I haven't lost my energy nor my desire, and I haven't gotten lazy. Keep them around as long as you can because it's hard to find.
Mr. Cimino, your rebuttal?
Yeah, I completely disagree. I think a survey was done. Every board and commission was asked, what's the #1 thing that we need in terms of the town and what we need to add in order to get our economy going and to get our regulations up to par? Every board and commission responded a full-time town planner, which we had and which worked great. And now what we have is a part-time planning consulting group who spends a lot of time in the first selectman's office, and then there are plans and maps that end up in planning and zoning that reflect things that no one on planning and zoning ever brought forward. So we have private properties like Selectman Pinder's property was placed in a special consideration zone that will not be subject to the regulations. No, we need a full-time planner who only works for the Planning and Zoning Commissions and the boards and commissions of Clinton.
Mr. Farmer, a rebuttal?
I would just simply say that I have relationships with towns from Branford to Lyme, Old Lyme, and to Groton, to Trumbull, people in Hartford, Fairfield. And you have to use a little seed money, even though it hurts, because long-term, a planner can do so much for you with respect to economic development. It can turn you in the right direction, steer you away from potentially bad deals, be part of the vetting process. There's a whole host of things that a planner is used for. And it's a good buffer as well. I heartily recommend you all think about this a little bit more. We really do need a planner, and a lot of other towns use them now. Thank you.
Mr. Fritz, a rebuttal from you?
I just give a quick one. It's funny. Corruption, cronyism, these are all words I've heard from Mr. Cimino. Special secret meetings with the planning consultant, and stuff shows up on a map. I've never seen a map with this guy when he comes to my office, because he's typically got the zoning officer with him, he's got the health director, he's got the building official, John Allen, Economic Development Committee. Those are the meetings we have every other Thursday. It's a planning group that was requested by the zoning board chairman to meet with prospective developers and talk about things. These are the secret meetings we have that we're putting other selectmen's supposed maps, properties on maps. These are all innuendos and insinuations and accusations that are unsubstantiated, and I think it's hilarious. I'm having a good time up here listening to all this stuff. I'm going to go home and watch the YouTube because I want to laugh all night.
This is our final question.
Hello, my name is Joseph Vecchi and I'm participating with the political club. Please tell this audience why you want the first selectman and what could you do to improve Clinton's quality of life?
Up first is Mr. Farmer.
I think with my strong background in business, being a certified facilitator, and all my background in community service, I would hit the ground running with all the things that need to be done here in Clinton. Like I said earlier, I would encourage all of the boards and commissions and committees, support them, get them to really reach, because I would challenge them, get them to focus on their short and long-term objectives. I would do the same thing with all of the town department heads. I think I also would be a good representative of the town for local, regional, and industry meetings with regard to economic development and everything else. I'm a good manager of people. I'm a good manager of budgets. A good manager surrounds themselves with smart people from town and elsewhere to do these jobs carefully, thoroughly. It's imperative that we communicate town-wide. It's an absolute must. You can't operate in a vacuum. Mr. Fritz, as the chief administrator of town government, town operations day to day, he is swamped with all the things he has to do. Public works, disasters, personnel, sometimes, all the weekend stuff that he's involved with. It's on and on and on and on. but it's too difficult for him to take on all the other roles that he feels that he must take on as the planner, as the economic development coordinator. He is the human relations head. He's the union negotiator. He acts as an engineer. It's just too much. You have to surround yourself with talented people. You have to delegate. This society is very litigious these days. Say that 3 times. And we're subject to lawsuits all the time, and we need some additional professional help. And I would get that help. Thank you.
Mr. Fritz?
Well, I want to be first selectman, and I want to continue to be first selectman because I came into this position 10 years ago into a wonderful town. I was left with a town that had a great financial stability, AA2 bond rating, which is the best you're going to get for a town with a grand list under $2 billion. We've been able to maintain that even with the worst economy since the Great Depression. We were also left with a town that was falling apart. Buildings falling apart, roads falling apart, sidewalks falling apart, our facilities are falling apart. And through nearly $10 million in state grants, we've been able to rebuild this town. Yes, there's been some cost to the taxpayers, and I think Mr. Farmer made a comment about investing. We invested in the community like we invest in our youth by doing some of the things we did. By building a new school, you have to invest into the future, and we've invested. I'll continue that. I won't let it slide. But I won't overburden the taxpayers. I also always hear about the mill rate. Well, the mill rate is a derivative of your grand list, which is property values. It's a derivative of your grand list, your revenues, and your expenditures. And when you took the equalized grand list that the state puts out, the equalized mill rate, we're the lowest around. You can take a property in Clinton, move it to Madison, same size house, same size property, even with a little bit lower mill rate, they're paying close to 30% more in taxes on that property. It's true. Okay. There's no, I'm gonna go back with you. Take it easy. Take it easy. All right. I feel like I'm talking to my kids now. Come on, take it easy. So, we've done this over time, and we've been very successful rebuilding this town, bringing in developers. Sometimes you can get developers to the door. And we've gotten them to the door, and the next step is getting through the door, going through the process through land use. And that's sometimes where the stumbling blocks occur. But we've gotten them to the door, we've offered them incentives, I'm going to keep doing it, I don't understand the comment about sports and recreational facilities, because who's more into that than me? But we'll keep doing that too. And the arts, working with the placemakers, we got the two art stores in town now. We set up the annex when we rebuilt it to accommodate the Clinton Art Society, who has a show going on there right now. We have the Art Society takes over Town Hall through the month of July and August. We promote a lot of cultural stuff in this town, and all you got to do is drive down Route 1 to see the center of town and how fantastic it looks now. And that was all paid for by grants. That was all paid for by state grants that we were able to obtain, which former State Representative Cimino was sitting there helping me do. And our town looks fantastic. You don't have to go very far to see the improvements in the town of Clinton. Thank you.
And Mr. Cimino, your answer to the question.
I'll start with this grants notion. Yeah, every town in Connecticut thinks they're getting a lot of grant money. Where's that money coming from? You've got a bankrupt state. You had a governor who, before the last election, told you had a surplus, and now you find out you're $2 billion in the hole. Why? Oh, they're spending. Hey, you got a $600 million bus route that they built. Isn't that great? It's wonderful. The people over there must like the shiny buses. What's it doing for you? What's it costing you? In Clinton, what's it costing you? There is no saying that Clinton does not have the highest tax rate on the shoreline. It does. It's a matter of record. And this thing about innuendos about corruption, the corruption is there. Please go to the CTA website and see for yourself the board meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, where the map that I'm referring to was brought to the attention of the commission members showing Pinder's property as being now newly designated a special development zone that didn't have to adhere to any zoning regulations. Okay, what did they say? We never did that. Where did this come from? Where did it come from? It came from a little planning group that meets with the first selectman, and then these maps are generated. They immediately demanded that it be removed. You have a town employee in the assessor's office who corroborated, attempted to conspire with a member of the Board of Assessment Appeals to deny particular tax appeals. Should that be allowed? And if you say, oh, the state statute prevents it, we should be speaking to the state legislators and tell them we're not going to tolerate this. You're not going to tell us we have to have corrupt people on our boards and commissions. If they've done something wrong, we should have the right to get rid of them. Goes for first selectman too. Goes for every position in town. You elect me, I do something wrong, get rid of me. All right? Why do I want to? Because I think I can do the job better, and because I believe between my education, my experience, my knowledge of the town, my participation on boards and commissions, I've put a lot of time into understanding the issues and developing real solutions. I want to bring us to the next level. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to build a dump rink. I'm not. I am going to tell you I'm going to lower the taxes. I am going to tell you I'm going to bring business to Clinton. Real business. Not dumps, not propane terminals, real business. It's time for a change in Clinton. It's long overdue. And I want to do it for you. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll have rebuttals, starting with Mr. Farmer.
We're going to make closing statements at the end. Okay, thank you. Frankly, I'm getting tired of all this negative talk. Whether it's at referendums, meetings, editorials in the paper, innuendo all over the place, this is not what the people of Clinton want to hear. They want to hear about your ideas for the future, positive thoughts. The townsfolk, they want you to listen to their needs and their concerns. This is not about one person or one small group of people. It's about you. And I want to make another important statement here. Taxes and spending in general. And I think Willie would agree with some of this too. Deficit spending is not an option for Clinton. I understand the relationship between the feds and the state and Clinton. You know, the feds, it's tax and spend huge deficits. State of Connecticut, tax and spend huge deficits. We cannot do that here. We have to be vigilant. We have to protect our bond rating, AA2. Since Connecticut is in such
Thank
a
you,
negative...
that is 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, and now we will have Mr. Fritz, a rebuttal. Mr. Cimino?
Yes. Yes, I'm not going to come up here and do the politically correct thing and say rah, 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 everything's wonderful and we have the best going in America. We have issues, important issues. If we ignore them, they're not going to get solved. We have to identify them, okay? We have to come up with real solutions. Otherwise, we end up with a wastewater problem that goes on for decades. So do we want to say, it ain't there? Does that help us? No. We can say, oh, we've got a skating rink coming on the dump. We don't. Am I supposed to tell you we are? We don't have evidence of anything, really. And until we do, we're going to have the same issues. So identify, come up with solutions. That's the job, not cheerleader.
Okay, that is all for the questions, and now we will have closing statements with the maximum limit of 3 minutes, starting in the order we did opening statements. So Mr. Cimino, you're up first.
I hope I've been very clear. I really do feel that I'm the best person to lead Clinton forward. I don't mean to say that Mr. Fritz hasn't been doing the best he can. I'm sure he is. But I believe that we can do much better. I believe that we need a real plan for economic development. We need to solve our wastewater problem once and for all with a plan that makes economic sense and that is affordable. Because just imagine the impact after a $65 million new school expense of an additional $127 million wastewater plan that will not allow any business expansion. So I will tackle the issues, and of course I will work with all the people around me. I now attend board and commissions meetings on a regular basis. There is no issue in the town of Clinton that I'm not fully informed of, have a handle on, offer suggestions to, and I will continue to do that as first selectman. We will solve the problems facing Clinton. We will make it better, and I want to do that for you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fritz, you're next.
I love the town. We moved here in 2000 because we love the town. We're bringing up our 3 boys in this town. We're embedded in the community. Sandra and I, we're here tonight. If you don't see us somewhere on the weekend, we're everywhere, whether it's supporting other events, functions, charities, athletic teams that our kids aren't even involved with. We're around town. We support this town. We love this town. I visit the schools regularly. I know what's going on in the schools. I have relationships with the administrators in every one of the schools. I'm a little saddened that I don't have a child at Joel or Pearson anymore. That's good because now they're only in 2 schools. There's 2 less schools to travel to. But I think I've done a good job. I think with the support that I've had on the Board of Selectmen over the years, particularly the last few years with Carol and John and Lynn and Ray, we've got Clinton going in the right direction. We've got a new Energy and Economic Development Commission with John Allen taking the reins on that. And we work closely. We've gotten the chamber very involved with the stuff going on in town. There's a lot of back and forth now, communication that there was before, but not as much as there is now. We have developers coming to us on a regular basis that want to talk about Clinton. And that's very exciting. That's very exciting. Our new plan of conservation development is going to open up doors for future development. We've improved our town. I want to continue to improve our town. We don't tax and spend. We invest in the community. With the new school, we've been able, and Mr. Vicino and Jesse, I don't know if he's here or not, they helped us get an additional 10% reimbursement. They helped us get a space waiver on the property, saving the town another $10 million in money we won't have to borrow. That's huge. And the offset is going to be the development of this site. And the offset is the development of the Unilever facility. And the offset are the other 2 properties. I don't know what's going to happen with the other 2 big properties with railroad sidings. Those are offsets coming down the road. That's going to grow your grand list. The small businesses are the backbone of the community. They're the ones that support every little thing that goes on in town. Those are the ones we need, the mom and pops. But the mom and pops don't grow your grand list. We need development. We're encouraging development, and we're promoting it every day. I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to support our schools, support the residents. I really love this town. I really love being the first selectman. I hope you put me in for another 10 years. Thank you.
Mr. Farmer, your closing statement.
Thank you. This, as I said before, this election is not about one person or one small group of people. It's all about you folks out here in the audience and your brethren in town and the businesses in town. We need to run town hall and town government more like a business, more efficient, more productive, with more technology. It'll also make our town employees happier. At the same time, we have to have compassion a welcoming, enthusiastic spirit for the residents and businesses that want to go to town hall or deal with our various departments within the town. I honestly believe that my corporate business background, managing many talented people, $38 million of business, coupled with my certified facilitator training that I have to focus groups of people on their objectives, short and long term, my many years of community service and dedication, the relationships that I have across the shoreline and in Hartford, I think are significant for you all to consider. I believe that all of this gives me the tools to hit the ground running as your first selectman, and I can tell you that I will work very hard for you to move Clinton forward in the right direction. Our strength as a body here in this town is our unity of purpose and talent in town and along the shoreline region. And I will bring us together to advance our town with thoughtful, open leadership and respect. And I know how to do it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Thank you all for your opinions and answering the questions very effectively. That concludes our debate. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your night.